I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who ruins something good. I always believed I was honest, emotionally intelligent, and self-aware. I considered myself a decent partner. Supportive, loving, dependable. I didn't think I was capable of causing real pain to someone I loved. But I was wrong. My name's Rachel. I'm 28 years old, and until recently, I was in a relationship that I thought would last forever. His name is Josh. We met at a friend's birthday party just over 2 years ago. I wasn't even supposed to go. I was exhausted from work and in one of those, maybe I'll just be single forever moods. But my roommate practically dragged me out the door. Josh was the first person I spoke to. He was pouring drinks in the kitchen. Sober, organized, a little too tall for the room. I joked that he looked like someone's responsible older brother, and he laughed. He had this calm, grounded energy. Nothing flashy, but he made you feel like you could let your guard down. We talked the entire night about books, childhood pets, how much we both hated small talk. He wasn't trying to impress me. He wasn't slick or performative. He was just real. I didn't know it then, but that authenticity would be the very thing I destroyed. We started dating a week later. It was easy, natural, effortless. With Josh, I didn't feel the need to wear a mask. I wasn't performing femininity. I wasn't shrinking myself to be more likable. I could just exist and be loved for who I was. After a year, we moved in together. Our apartment wasn't glamorous, second floor, weird creaking pipes, neighbors who vacuumed at 2 a.m. But it felt like home. We had a routine: morning coffee, evenings making dinner together, weekend grocery runs that turned into mini dates. I had never been in such a safe relationship before. But there was one shadow that followed us from the start. When we first became serious, we had the usual long talks couples have: past relationships, emotional baggage, deal breakers. And inevitably, the question came, "So, how many people have you been with?" We were lying in bed. The lights were off. I remember staring at the ceiling, my heart racing. I didn't answer right away. Josh added, "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I'm just curious." Here's the thing. I don't think there's a right number. I don't think people are defined by their past experiences. I believe in sexual freedom, agency, and owning your history. But I also knew Josh was traditional. Not judgmental exactly, but a little idealistic. He once told me his dream was to be someone's second love, after their high school heartbreak. Romantic in a Nicholas Sparks kind of way. I wasn't that girl. I had gone through a wild phase in college. It wasn't traumatic or destructive, it was exploratory. I partied. I experimented. I had casual sex. Sometimes it was empowering. Sometimes it was messy. It was part of figuring myself out. By the time I met Josh, I had been with 27 men. Some were short flings. Some lasted a few weeks. A couple were relationships that ended for the usual reasons: mismatched goals, bad timing, emotional immaturity. But I hadn't told anyone that number in years. And I didn't tell Josh either. 5, I said. It felt like a betrayal the moment it left my lips, but I said it so casually, like it didn't matter. He smiled. "Okay, that's pretty normal." And just like that, the lie began. I told myself it was harmless, that I wasn't lying about anything important, that what mattered was who I was now, not who I had been in my early 20s. But that wasn't the full truth. I was ashamed. Not of the sex, necessarily, but of how I thought he'd see me. I didn't want him to think I was used or easy or someone who didn't take intimacy seriously. I wanted him to feel special. I wanted to protect the version of me that he had started to fall in love with. So I buried the truth. And the more time passed, the harder it became to dig it back up. At first, it didn't seem to matter. Josh and I fell into a rhythm. We met each other's families, took trips together, talked about marriage in that dreamy, half-planned way you do when you're drunk on love. But little cracks started to show. Every now and then, Josh would bring up something from his past. I've only had sex with 3 people, he said once. You're the first person I really trusted. My stomach twisted. Other times, he'd make offhand comments when we watched movies or saw people from our social circles. Something like, I don't get how people sleep around so casually. Doesn't it mess you up emotionally? I'd nod, smile, pretend to agree. But inside, I felt like a fraud. The lie became a wall. Every time I wanted to be vulnerable, to open up more of myself, I hit that wall. It was always there, cold, silent, waiting. Then came the party. Josh and I were invited to a college friend's housewarming. It was one of those intimate events. 10 people, drinks, nostalgia, old stories. A few people there knew me from my past life, including my old friend Claire, who had seen me through my wildest years. We were all drinking, laughing. Someone started a game of Never Have I Ever. I stayed quiet at first, sipping my drink, trying to keep things neutral. Then someone said, Never have I ever hooked up with someone at a music festival. I sipped. Josh glanced at me, surprised. Wait, when did that happen? I smiled awkwardly. College, Coachella. It was a long time ago. Then Claire, completely oblivious to the tension, chimed in with a laugh. Rachel had the craziest college stories. You remember Vegas? Or that night with the DJ in New York? I laughed it off, but Josh didn't. His smile froze. His eyes lingered on me a little too long. That was the beginning of the unraveling. I stayed in that hotel room for another night. Alone. My phone stayed mostly silent, except for messages from worried friends who heard about the breakup through the grapevine. I didn't respond. I couldn't bring myself to speak to anyone yet. The next morning, I checked out and went to my sister's place. She welcomed me without judgment, just a tight hug and a made-up couch. Over the next few days, the weight of it all began to crush me. The truth was, I hadn't just lied to Jason. I'd lied to myself. I'd always thought, as long as it's in the past, it shouldn't matter. But it did matter, because I didn't tell him. I didn't trust him with it. And I didn't give him the choice to love me for all that I was, baggage and all. Instead, I gave him a curated version of me, one I thought he could love more easily. And now I had neither his love nor my dignity. 2 weeks passed. I didn't hear from him once. I tried to text him once. Just a short message that said, I'm sorry, I miss you. He didn't respond. My therapist told me I needed to sit with the discomfort, to understand why I felt compelled to hide things in the first place, why shame had such a strong grip on me. We talked about how women are conditioned to believe their value lies in purity or innocence, how I internalized that, even if I claimed to be sex positive. But all that insight didn't fix the ache in my chest. Then one day, I saw him. I was walking into a bookstore to clear my head, and there he was, Jason, standing near the bestsellers, thumbing through a paperback. My heart stopped. He saw me before I had a chance to turn away. Our eyes met. He looked different, harder, not angry, exactly, but distant, closed off. I walked over cautiously. Hi, I said. Hey, he replied, his tone unreadable. Can we talk? He hesitated, then gave a slow nod. We found a bench outside. It felt strange sitting beside him without holding his hand. I'm not here to ask for anything, I said. I need to say something. He looked at me, expression blank. I lied because I was afraid, I began. Afraid that you'd see me differently, that you'd leave, and in trying to stop that from happening, I made it inevitable. He didn't interrupt, just listened. I should have trusted you with all of me, the good, the bad, the messy, but I thought the past would be too much, so I gave you a version of me I thought you could love. I did love you, he said quietly. The version you gave me. That stung more than I expected. I know. I whispered. And I know that version wasn't fair to you. I hate that I took away your right to choose. Jason nodded slowly. I've thought a lot about everything, about why it mattered so much to me, about what it means that you didn't feel safe telling me. And? I asked, barely breathing. I still don't have an answer, he said. I just know that something broke, and I don't know if it can be fixed. We sat in silence for a long moment after that. I never stopped loving you, I admitted, but I understand why you had to walk away. He stood up, offering a small, sad smile. I hope you find peace, Emily. You too. And with that, he walked away again. I cried that night. Not the messy, dramatic sobs, but the kind that leaves your chest hollow and your pillow wet. That was the moment I realized. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes honesty, early, painful, unfiltered honesty, is the only thing that could have saved it. And once the foundation cracks, it doesn't matter how much you want to stay. It's been a year now. Jason's dating someone new. I saw it on Instagram. I've started over too. Therapy's become a routine. I'm dating slowly but more authentically. No more editing myself to be more lovable. I tell the truth, even when it's hard. Even when it might push someone away. Because I know now, the only love worth having is the one that accepts the whole of you, not just the palatable parts.